Welcome to Grid Forward Insights. Today we're hearing from Lous Ting, Director of Power Planning and Development and Engineering at LADWP. Lous is going to cover load impacts and adjusted forecasts coming from the COVID-19 fallout, and I'm going to hand it over to you, Lous, to walk through your insights. Thanks for being on today.
Thank you, Bryce, for the introduction. And I'll quickly go over Los Angeles Department of Water and Power and our power systems, specifically on the energy side. So we are a balancing authority. We're the largest POU, and we have about 1.5 million connected customers serving over 4 million people in the city of Los Angeles. And our peak demand actually occurred back in 2017 at 6,502 megawatts. And we haven't seen that peak since. In fact, we anticipate to continue to drop with energy efficiency and not even counting COVID. Operating revenue is about 4.1 billion per year, and our sales is ultimate sales to energy sale to customers about 22 million megawatt hours. Our distribution system is over 10,000 miles overhead and ground transmission distribution lines, and then transmissions about 3,600 miles overhead underground circuits. One very unique thing about water and power is that our transmission system spans all the way to the Pacific Northwest, to the state of Washington. In fact, we're partnered with BPA on the Celilo line all the way down to LA, the PDCI line. We also have transmission all the way to Utah, and we have a couple lines to Arizona and all the way to Navajo Nations. Those are all the lines that we have participation, ownership, or both, that we can convert all that traditional generation to renewables. And that's one thing about LA, is that we're very forward-looking and very forward-thinking regarding this, and we're very fortunate to have the system we have today. And so here are some key insights from LA due to low impacts and due to COVID-19. We're seeing an average of energy reduction of about 10%. That's sales. And on Thursday, April 16, we've seen the highest reduction is 19% reduction based on what we expected it. And our maximum demand reduction we see is about 496 megawatts, or about 20% reduction. That happened on April 18th, just 2 days after our highest reduction on energy. And our highest peak of this year, interestingly enough, it was on May 7th, which we had a temperature that we saw at least 20 degrees Fahrenheit higher than normal. So that was a very warm day, and lasted about 3 days, and we experienced a 4319 megawatts of peak. But however, the energy use on that day was actually 12.2% less than what we expected. So as you can see, even though we experienced a peak, and our energy demand was actually about 12% lower. And what's another interesting about it is between the commercial, industrial, and the residential, we saw about an average about 2% increase in residential usage throughout this time. However, the decreasing energy use from the commercial, industrial, and it ranges from anywhere from 12 to 19% that we saw the average of from the commercial industrial, so which very significant, and we continue to see that trend. Hopefully, with the reentry, the plan that the city has for all the businesses, and that hopefully we'll see a little recovery on that. And obviously, the reasoning, the social gathering closed, the school closed, and safer at home order, all attributed to these impacts. So the next slide is really just estimated business as usual. This is the actual load for 1 week. As you can see, there's just a typical week between April and early May. That I want to kind of have your attention look at Wednesday of that week. Even though our peak was expected, it probably hit our expected peak for that day, weather normalized. But if you can see under the blue curve, which is our forecasted low, we didn't even reach close to what the energy use for that day. And rest of the week, as you can see, it's the same trend for our system here. The next slide is our forecasted sales this coming fiscal year, and this was just presented to our board last Tuesday. And as you can see, if you can take a look at the red, green, and blue on fiscal year 1920, on 22,386.3, which was our gigawatt hours, which is our original forecast of the sales, and that was approved by our board. And our revised, due to preliminary budgets, we actually revised it down for that fiscal year, which is current fiscal year. And now with COVID-19, it's what we forecasted for this coming fiscal year, also for current year, which is in blue. So if you can kind of imagine, the red was approved, the green was our original forecast, and which is actually increasing for next year. But due to COVID-19, we revised it way down, about 6% decrease for this fiscal year and 7% decrease for the next fiscal year in the blue. So these next 5 charts I'll be showing also has the same type of arrangements for the chart. So this is for power system sales forecast. And this chart, next chart, is based on our operating revenue, which we actually going to increase. We do see the blue chart, even though with COVID-19, we reduced our forecast for our operating revenue down from 4.3 billion down to about 4.16 billion. But how do we do that, right? So I'll explain that toward the end. One of the ways to do it is that we do anticipate with the natural gas, the historical natural gas prices, and we have seen a significant decrease in natural gas demand, but also is a significant decrease in the natural gas prices, either at our city gate here or at the gates that we purchase our gas from. And we did forecast it downward, so that kind of helps our revenue a little bit as far as our budget goes. And we also see that we're going to increase our capital spending. Original forecast was 1.8 billion, but we reduced down to 1.6 billion. And this current fiscal year, we do actually expect to see we're going to probably hit pretty close to the 1.38 billion that we're going to spend for capital. And all in that has been a very good as far as our estimates goes, as you can see, since fiscal year 16-17 all the way to this current fiscal year, we're fairly close on our targets for our O&M spendings and so forth. And our next year also going to be increasing, but decrease from our original forecast on the green dot there. So this is how we did it. So this is the only chart, if you look at the other one, that a green dotted line is actually below the blue, and that's how we're proposing to our board and our council. Once they approved it, this will be our system average rate, or our average cost or per kilowatt hour that we expect to charge our customers. So we're going to increase it from currently about 19.03 all the way to about 20.35 cents a kilowatt hour, and that kind of concludes our impacts due to COVID and what our revised forecasts look like.
Yeah, Louis, thank you so much. Let me ask a question or two if you're all right. So I see that you're reducing your forecast sales and reducing capital, and then maybe a little bit less, but also reducing O&M costs.
Yes.
We know that there are significant decarbonization commitments there with LADWP. Have you guys kind of done some of the work to figure out how do these reductions and how do the changes in plans kind of align to the efforts and the roadmaps that were in place to get to those objectives?
That's a great question. And a lot of people are asking the same type of question regarding our renewable future. We have not stopped our efforts. Our LA100, which is our 100% study with National Renewable Energy Labs, and is continuing, and it has given us a peek of our roadmap, and all the documents actually on our website. And anybody can go take a look at what some of the roadmaps they have kind of given us with three type of different scenarios, and essentially from low to medium to high renewable adaptations. And our capital spending, the bulk of our capital spending are all decoupled. So let me give you an example. The rates are decoupled, and from our base rate, which is protected by Prop 26 and so forth, and also the fact that our RPS and our power system reliability program are pass-through decoupled rates. We have the ability to make adjustments during the rate case, which ends this coming year. And we're going to go with another rate case potential, depending on how this whole COVID pans out. That will determine how we can better serve reliable with liability in mind, but also give us the leeway to, and going forward with power purchase agreement, which bulk of our renewable energy efforts are all focused on, is based on large power purchase agreements. And that doesn't mean that our capital spending will decrease on our transmission and our local DERs and local renewable efforts. That will continue also, but the bulk of the power purchase agreement spending are all on the O&M side, which it doesn't occur until the project gets finished. For example, one of our largest solar plus battery storage project, the Elan, that was just approved this past year by our board and council, that's continuing, and that's 400 megawatts of solar plus 1,200 megawatt hours of battery. That will continue. It's coming service in 2022 and 2023. So that's exciting. So we're not slowing that down, and our expenditure we won't see that hit our books until then.
Yeah, Louis. Well, thank you for being on today. You know, the industry is keen to see how you all are able to continue your success ahead. Good luck on the recovery efforts, and thanks for your insights today.
Thank you, Bryce. Thank you for